Evening, good morning everybody, hello, hello, hello. Here we go. A sunny day here. Finally, we've reached the end of our rainy season here in Tokyo. I'm not sure if that's the whole country. Some parts may still have some bad weather, but here in Tokyo now, and it's going to get stinky, stinky hot. Stinky, stinky hot. What have we got to do today? Okay, we've been doing the carving and color transfers on the print with the little boys, and we'll continue that this morning. But before we do, I have to do a bit of embossing here today. You all know the routine. We've got our embossing blocks, and I've got a bunch of prints that have come back from Kubota-san. He, some time ago when he first started working for us, didn't let us use his name because he was still working for another company at the same time. But he's since retired, so we can use his name, no problem. We've got a batch. These came in yesterday afternoon. But he is one of those people, the old craftsman, who thinks, look, we don't need your names on it. We don't want names on the prints. So he refuses to take the time to do that. Why would I waste my time doing that? So we want names on, so I have no choice. I have to do this myself. I tried to pull a little bit of, I don't know what word to use for it. I tried to tell him, Kubota-san, if you don't do it, I myself have to do this. He says, well, if you want the names on there, then that's it. Go ahead. You know. Look at all these people here. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Wow, wow, wow. I'm not sure what the rank deal is. With someone like him and I, it's an awkward situation. I'm 68. He must be 75, 6, somewhere around there. I don't know. It's not just age. He is a really, really respected printer here. I mean, he is Top Gun. He was when he was still at it. Top Gun. So he clearly sort of outranks me in age and in printing ability. In case of the work that we put out, I'm the boss and he's the employee. So there's no clear. So, but it doesn't work like that. You know, signing the checks means nothing when he has a, what's the word, superior position. None of this is, I like him very much. We laugh, we have a good time. He's really, really, really a nice guy. We've got this upside down. You can see there's a bunch in the back with the corner knocked off, which he himself has decided he doesn't want to put out. And maybe there's a couple of dots. Let's zoom in a bit. The usual conundrum. We get these packages and they've marked no. The professional printers, the young printers working for us don't do this. They simply give me the batch and we talk together about it. Oh yeah. Oh, look at this. It's in the same place. He must have had a blot of ink on the block and didn't notice it. Not a professional move, but okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. This is really interesting. 1, 2, 3. You know, you get a blot of ink and it goes on the back. And if you see it straight away, you wash your block. But he didn't see it straight away. So there's 3 at least that have the same mistake. And he must have, when he got to the end and saw these, or when he did realize it, he must have thought, shit, don't want Dave to see that. But Dave is seeing it. He can't just throw them away because we've got a count on the paper. We know how many sheets we sent him, and he has to send back that many sheets. Then there's a couple more bad copies. I had marked the paper. It was no good. I gave him a couple of bad copies for checking. So these were the ones he used to start his run and get things warmed up. That paper was bad from the start. Anyway, not to focus on the bad stuff. Let's get some embossing done on the good stuff. This one, it's difficult to know. The thing looks the same upside down and right side up. It's got to be careful to get it the right way around. Also the name, it's Bull Yamamoto Janai, Bull and Kubota. Where does it want to go? Upside down, Dave. What was bad about that paper? I don't know. When I finish the sizing, I wrap up a batch of paper to send to the printers. It's not uncommon that maybe when I've been doing the sizing, my brush caught in one place and the paper got a bit creased or something. So there's 60 or 70 or 80 sheets that I got. A couple of them maybe had a bit of a crease. Maybe when I was hanging them, I knocked it with my hand. Simply there was damage on the paper that meant it, it's no point having him do all the careful work about this when the paper has a damage mark in it. So simply to make sure he saw that, I put the big X on the front of those things here. These are for your testing. The printer needs some paper to get tested. You can't test, you can do some testing on junk paper, but you can't get the right color tones unless you've got exactly the right paper. So he's always going to have to waste a few sheets anyway. And by preparing those and marking those, it means we can waste, the ones that I've already spoiled, he can use those for his waste. Questions. Oh, lots of conversation. Who signs the checks? Paper's out, yes. Paper's out for Shikao-san, though she hasn't showed up yet, but whatever. No F-bombs tonight, Dave. Why would I? Me? Me? Okay, check, correct. Bowl, yes. I carved this. Kubota, he printed this, yes. Can we see the embossing? There you go. Now we have the top characters, Horiburu Suri Kubota Keiichi. It's a fun print. I regret a couple of things about this. I regret one thing about this. When Jed and I were working on this together, actually this one, it's Jed's design, but I really had a big hand in editing it. We worked back and forth on Skype, screen sharing and stuff. And one thing I really regret, when we got to the point where it looked like the image was there and ready and good, we decided, or he decided, I don't remember, we decided to leave out the cartouches. All the other Ukiyo-e Heroes prints, all of them with no exceptions, they have a double cartouche. There's a cartouche with a print title, and then there's a sort of a catchphrase that goes along with each one. And I don't remember why. There's lots of room for it. We could easily have put the cartouches in the bamboo forest, but we decided not to do that. And I regret that, because it now doesn't show the series, who it is. This was also the design where our Ukiyo-e Heroes series morphed away from ukiyo-e. This isn't technically really like an ukiyo-e print from the old days. I mean, the earliest ukiyo-e, the basic ukiyo-e had no gradations. There's no depth. They were all flat pictures. On this one, we worked really hard to give it depth and contrast. And that's not something that was part of the ukiyo-e tradition. Cartouche, yeah, cartouche is a word, it's here, it's in the art world, How costly is the paper versus the printer's fee? The printer costs way more than the paper, absolutely. It would depend on the size. How much does this paper cost? We get 8 of these out of a sheet of takenaga. Takenaga is a pretty big sheet. It cost me about 1980 yen plus tax plus shipping, maybe 2200 yen per sheet to get it in here, and then we have to do the sizing, which I can't cost out because I do it myself. Let's say 2500 yen altogether, and that gives us 8 prints. So let's say it was 2400 yen divided by 8, you know where that is, right? So the paper sheet itself costs about 300 yen for this. And Kubota-san's fee for printing this will be 2750 yen. So Kubota-san gets 10 times more than the paper. In this particular case, this particular size, this particular dimension, and Kubota-san is an expensive guy for us. But in this particular example, the printer cost is 10 times more than the paper cost. How do you decide to reprint a batch when you've sold all the copies? We try and get the reprinting done before they're all gone. It's like any publishing company. You've got your books in your warehouse and stuff, and as one of them starts to get low in inventory, you try and reschedule it for reprinting if you feel that it will still sell again in the future. And that's actually one of my main jobs here in this company, in this organization, is watching the inventory, watching what's going down, looking at the 9 printers we've got here right now. Someone's trying to make trouble here, is she? Block height. Not quite sure how to do that, but whatever. What's the purpose of this procedure? I'm just putting a name on. Sorry, you know, this is not the most interesting part of the thing. We've got carving, we've got printing, we've got all different stages on it. And this is the last stage of the process for us. We put our names on. We're quite proud of it. The prints are beautifully made. And we're identifying here permanently for the life of this print, the carver and the printer. Once they go to Jed himself will be signing these things and dating them. So each print has the names of the 3 people. The names of the 3 people who made it. I'll do maybe half of these here. There's no point in sitting and doing the whole deck and having you sit and watch this. Let me do about half of these. I've got to get them done this morning to send them off to Jed. But let me do about half of them, and then we'll switch to the next job, doing the color separation on the latest print. Well, I'm not sure that you can say these are commissioned. This is sort of a, what's the word? It's a combination business deal. Jed does the designs, we do the printing. It's not really commissioned. Jed doesn't just hire us to do this. We are very much part of the calculation and the concept and everything else that goes into it. So it's not just simply we do commissions for outside people. The Ukiyo-e Heroes series is something that Jed conceived it, of course, absolutely. And then we ran it together, are running it together. rubbing on the pad. Now this is water. There's water on the blue pad. I'm putting just a tiny bit of moisture on this. If we worked on dry paper, the embossing wouldn't take quite so strongly. But because the paper is just a tiny bit moistened, the embossing bites deep into the paper, and it is permanent. There's no way we could get that out of there. There's no way. And there's not enough moisture to cause trouble. It will just dry by itself right there. I don't know where to put the paper. I know in our normal printing, when we do printing on the carved blocks, the carved block has a physically carved corner. For doing this embossing, we don't need a piece of wood. We've just got a piece of cardboard with the polymer plate. So I just drew the corner. I've just drawn it. There's nothing dramatic. The paper, I just drawn a mark. Drawing it wouldn't be enough if we were actually doing the real printing. It wouldn't be accurate enough. But for doing this embossing, it's fine. It gets it in the right place. So. What am I embossing? Again, let me zoom in on it just one sec. Yeah, we should be able to see it there. Here you go. There's the kanji. Hori buru, which means carving bowl, that's me. And Sudi Kubota Kenichi, he's the printer who made this batch. And Jed San's name is not on here yet. Jed Henry is the designer, and once we send it to him, he will then himself put his own name and signature on. The blue pad here is just water. We're just doing a touch of moisture. I'm sorry, is there a problem on the chat here this morning? I don't know. I blocked 2 already this morning. This is interesting. The first time I've ever had to do that. I already blocked 2. I don't see anything else happening. I see user hidden, message hidden. Somebody's trying to put stuff in here. Is it just blocked for me and you're still seeing it? A while ago somebody started posting crap, so I clicked it and it said block this user. So I blocked it. But is that just from me then and not from you? Blocking just blocks for you. Okay, well, what do I have to do here? What does it say here? I'm not so good at this. Block, report, unblock, add friend. I'm looking for the word ban here. Oh, here we go. Okay, I found it. It's okay. Sorry about that. I didn't understand the difference between block and ban. It's unusual, you know. I know if anybody's new here, they're saying, why don't we have mods? Because we really don't have a problem. We've been doing this 3 years, and you can count on one hand the number of times that people have decided to come here and just not cooperate with the community. We're 99% clean and happy and whatever. But if it does turn out that there's going to be trouble, then whatever. Some of the regular viewers can be. I'll give a moderation hat to some of the regular viewers, and they can do it. But if you are new here this morning, this is unusual. We really don't get this normally. This month there's been a bunch of new people perhaps because of that review. We got some reviews and write-ups about this channel. Okay, that's enough of this. I guess, as I said, it's not so interesting to do. I have to get the work done today, which is why I started doing this. But let's move on to the actual printmaking part. Let's put these aside for a minute here. Let's play with some wood. Let's get some wood out. Do you hear them outside, the summertime sound? Even here in the middle of Tokyo, we get those insects. Okay, how much to explain, how much not to explain? There are new people here, so let's explain a bit of the concept, what's going to go on here in the next few minutes. We're now back to actual real-time printmaking. To make a color woodblock print like the one you just saw requires a set of blocks. Basically, simple terms, one block for each color. When we had this one going, there's a deeper green, a light green, a medium green, a brown, a gray, a yellow. There's a piece of wood carved for each one that shows the shape that needs to be printed. And to do this process, what you do is you start by carving the outlines. This print, for example, you can see the characters have outlines, the bamboo stems have outlines. So the designer and carver work together to prepare a woodblock with just outlines. And in the case of this print, this part now is already done. We've been doing this on the stream for the past few weeks. So this is the first stage in the print where the outlines are carved. We've done a bit of test printing, which is why it's black. The white scratches you see here are some places where I just cleaned up and did some fixing. So what we've got here is an outline block. And we need to next prepare to make a series of color blocks. These boys are wearing kimono. The kimono will have a color. There will be a color on the background area. And how do we transfer the information from this block to the new color blocks? And that's what's going to happen in the next few minutes here. Try and get the balance between zooming in and zooming out. We've got some pigment, just some black, dirty black pigment, and a brush. And what I've prepared yesterday afternoon, ready for the stream today, I prepared a bunch of blank transfer sheets. And what these are normal, just a sort of, what's the word? It's not card, it's paper, it's stiff paper, which doesn't swell and shrink a lot. And on top of this stiff paper, I have laminated some very, very thin. I had a piece of it behind here, but I don't know if I can get it without destroying things. Here we are. We have a very thin Japanese paper like this. It's so thin you can basically see through it almost here. Well, again, rather than explain too much, let me just sort of physically do this. Let me pull one and you can see what's going to happen. This block actually isn't finished. There's going to be lots more areas carved away and cleaned away, but well, it just doesn't matter. We'll get started on it. Then the line of the registration. Okay, the block here has, it's difficult to see, you'll see me use it in a minute. There's a corner mark carved here. You can see that. It's a little tiny piece carved in the corner. And over here, there's another one carved. I'll mock up what I'm going to do here. The paper will go, look, click into that corner and click into this corner. And all of our blocks, they have to have the same marks in the same place, and that's how all the colors are going to line up. Here we go, first impression here. Again, there's a mess here. We'll be cleaning it up later. It doesn't matter. We can ignore it right now. What we need is a clear and sharp outline. Let's just do a couple more here. Okay, so there's where we've got to. We now have the key block ready. Just to recap what's happening here. Here is the print we're reproducing. The turtle thing we just saw a few minutes ago was a brand new original design. Jed drew the original design and we made a print out of it. The one we're making here is a reproduction of a part of an old print. Here is the original print, or this is a Taisho era reproduction. And you can see the kids have colors. Their clothing has colors, the bucket has a color, there's different colors on different parts of the thing. So let's show how that's done. The broken scarf, I haven't done anything about that yet. It's just sitting there. I'll either whatever. I think I got quite a bit of social pressure on me the other day that says I should fix it. I don't know. Questions. So many new people. It's just so many questions. The rubbing tool. It's a lacquered disc of paper covered with a piece of bamboo skin, and inside, what a bizarre stream today. And inside is a coil of bamboo. And this is woven bamboo. It's all very fine pieces of bamboo made into string almost, and then woven together, braided together. And it's the little bumps on this thing that provide, when they're rubbing across the back, it's the little bumps that provide the rubbing pressure on this. I'm going to need altogether for colors, I'm going to need about 6 or 7 of these, so excuse me a minute now, I've got to go ahead and print a bunch of these. I'm missing a bunch of stuff here. I guess under control now, are you? Hello, guys. Well, the print that I'm working on right now actually isn't going to be for sale at Moko Hong Kong. This is a print from my own personal subscription series, which is part of a set that I started in 2012, dropped on 2014 when we got busy with the shop here, and we're now going to revive it. So many of the people who were subscribing to this series have, of course, given up waiting for my next one. And maybe nobody will want this, I don't know, we'll see. Some weeks, months from now, when this is finally ready, they'll get an email from me. Hi, remember me? I've had some blowback on that in the past few years. There are a few people who were subscribing to my sets who really, really got angry that I sort of dropped it and didn't continue with it. And I tried to explain to them that I was trying to balance the two things, keep my own printmaking business going and also start a venture where we hired young people and trained them. I tried to explain that I was trying to do both things at the same time, and the venture of hiring young people and training them exploded so much that it ate my life. But the couple of people who were upset about this said that was a mistake, that I should have just simply, I had collectors who had supported my work for many, many, many years, and I should have given them priority. I should have, I promised to make a set of prints, and I should have made the set of prints. And I can't argue with their viewpoint. I know there are people there who did support, buy my prints for a long time, 10 years plus. And my protestations that whatever I started this other thing and I can't just abandon it, people are now depending on me for work and stuff like this. And they're like, well, you should have thought of that. So it can't be helped. There are people out there who are upset about this very thing, and not so many, but there are out there. So, and in my own mind, I didn't do the right thing, but I didn't do anything that was all that bad. Okay, one more. What type of background is this going to have? I think just simply a flat color, nothing. I think the focus is on the two kids and their activities. The print itself is going to have, if you go to the woodblock.com website, you can see the prints in the series that are already finished. And you can see there's a cartouche at one side, there's a background, and outside the background there's a wide, frilly, embossed border. And that'll provide enough of a framing for this. So the color behind the boys will just be a flat tone. I was there when I thought I might not get Solitudes number 12 ever. I know, are you waiting for it still? I know I've got the blocks for Solitudes 12 here. I've got the paper for Solitudes 12 here. And I'm under orders from the Ome workshop that I have got to within the next few months. I've got to make a batch of those. And I'm going to strict orders. Yasui-san is really, really, she's not upset yet, but she's getting close to it. I know. So yeah, that one is, that one is coming. I'm missing all this, I'm sorry. So we trained young people. Do we still do that? Yes, there are young people, all kinds of young people working here. We don't hire people off the street here for training. We hire people with some small level of experience, having made some prints. We don't work from scratch. But yes, everybody here is training, everybody here. questions. I'm missing a lot, I'm sorry. I'm missing. Why am I printing so many? This print will have 5 or 6 or 7 colors. I haven't decided yet how many. That'll be the process over the next few days, deciding what the colors will be. How much time did it take you to learn Japanese? It's an ongoing process. My Japanese is very mixed. I'm competent at daily life and speaking. I can, do interviews and give speeches and whatever, but I cannot engage in deep whatever. If you ask me to, the example I usually give is if you ask me to read the financial pages of a newspaper, I'm in big trouble. I can't read so well at all because I haven't spent years studying it. How many years? I don't know. Just you jump in the pool and start swimming. So okay, let's do 1 or 2 of these so you can see the process. Here is the master. We're not going to reproduce exactly the same. This print had many more characters. It had a bunch of different colors. So the print I'm going to end up making will not just be a clone of this. We're taking this as a starting point and as a hint. Should I turn off the outside mic? Oh, it's the garbage guy. I see, okay. The octopus print, the other versions floating around the net, I got to be careful what I say about that. I started working on that print about 4 years ago. To my knowledge, there hadn't been a reproduction made of that ever since the old days. But I started my own version and announced it. And then between the time when I started my octopus and finished it, 2 other groups in Tokyo here made one. One was made by a young boy, Shimoi-kun. He's got a Facebook page. And one was made by the Craftsmen's Association here. And they really played it up. The old shunga was the masterworks. They only hired the very best carvers, very best printers. This is absolute a lie, but whatever. And they played it up. And I don't have a copy here, and I'm not going to really get into that too much, but there are 3 copies now available here in Tokyo of that print. And whatever. So okay, on the original print, we have one of the blocks was a yellowy brown woody color. The bucket had the wood color. The base that the stones are on, this lady's platform, and it may have been touched here and there on other places. I'm not sure about the kimono color yet, but for sure we are going to need a color for that wood. So let's define it. That's useful. That summer sound out there. I don't hear crows today, but I hear the semi, that insect. Yes, we're highlighting what gets kept. This will be the block that prints the bucket color and the scoop and the base. And the fact that I'm using a yellow highlighter means nothing. It could be printed red, yellow, green, blue. It doesn't make any difference. We're just laying out a zone so that when I paste this down in a few minutes, you'll see what happens in a few minutes. I'll paste it onto a piece of wood, and this identifies the areas that we need to keep so that we can print. Now notice in the original here, he's got, these two boys have a kimono and an obi, a waist belt tied around, and they're also wearing what's called taski. We used to use these in our print parties for people that came with kimono. Housewives used to use these. The boy's got his kimono, and kimono have floppy sleeves, and if they get in the way of what you're doing. So he's got, if you look at this vermilion color here, it's a loop of cord fabric. It's about maybe a meter and a bit long. You tie it together, and then you go quickly, chop, 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 and you loop it over your head, and you can see, and it's tied up on this boy here. It's tied up his sleeves so that the sleeves don't droop into the work. And the cord is called a tasuki. So he's got a kimono and a belt and a tasuki. And this other boy has the same thing. He's got a loose kimono which is tucked up under his waist belt. And he's got a tasuki as well. And his, I'm not quite sure what he's got. He's got a tasuki there and some kind of obi. And they've used the same color. So I think I'll follow that. For his, I will use the same color as we did for the bucket. I think that'll do it for this block. Nothing to mention about these things. I've done these transfer sheets. I took 7 or 8 of them. And we've talked about this before. I know it's best, whenever there's weather changes, it's best to do this work straight through. Print these things, make the color separations, paste them on wood, and you're good to go. If you wait too long, then maybe it's raining tomorrow, this paper could swell or shrink. So it's really not such a good idea to wait too long between the 2 stages of the process. Yeah, the yellow and the red to show. So I've been using yellow for, like somebody just said, I've been using it for decades. And I was doing it for the ones I sent down to Kawasaki-san, our carver in Kobe, the young carver in Kobe. And at some point, it must have been, some months ago, a year ago, I don't remember actually. She said, please, I can't see the yellow. Use something, in the old days they used a vermilion red. Please use the traditional way. I'm like, Soka, that's right. Why have I been doing it a funny way? And it's still, I just picked up these now just out of habit. I should pick up the red one. We do. We've got a red one. I should be using one that shows more. おはようございます。どうも。Ishikawa-san has arrived. Her paper is out. No panic. No panic. Okay, cut the kinto. Cut the registration marks. Oh, my registration chisel is upstairs. I used it upstairs to shave a print yesterday. ちょっと待ってね. Excuse me, 1 minute. I have to go upstairs to get my chisel. Back in a sec. Unplug. Welcome back. Someone's saying, Ayumi-san, Shiba-san's prints, is Ayumi-san work available exclusively in Mokuhankan? We have no agreement about that, but I think in practical terms, yes, she doesn't have any other marketing source for her prints. She just has them in our shop here and in our web and on our web shop. So I think so. If you knew how to write to her personally, you could do so, but I don't believe she's got her prints anywhere else. Class. What a bizarre day today it is. It's from this morning. I've felt something strange today. It's a really strange day. What time is it here? 8:52. So okay, for those of you out there who have never seen this before, what we're just doing right now is one of the absolute key points of how this whole system works and what's going on. Let's run it again just so you get it, because this is the key to the whole thing here. We carved a bunch of lines for the picture. We could basically put it anywhere on the block. We also carved a little tiny notch. It's just cut down into the wood. It's a little notch in the wood there. And the same thing here, there's another little notch on this side. So you saw me a moment ago, after putting pigment on, that was the guides for the paper. So if I did this once, twice, 3 times, whatever, I could do it any number of times, and the image would always be in the same place referenced to those points that went in the registration marks. The top and other sides mean nothing, but compared to the corner, the image would now be in exactly the same place. So this is the registration. So now cutting another pair of notches, and I just carved them freestyle. I did measure from the corner, but it doesn't matter. They could be anywhere on the wood, it doesn't matter. And now we're going to paste this onto the wood using those same corners as a guide. And this is information transfer. The key lines are transferred from that block, put in the corner marks here, glue this down as you see me do in a minute, and that's the transfer to make sure the location is in the same place. It's sort of simple, and yet it's something that for many, I don't even know why, many people find it difficult to understand. And once you've seen it, hopefully, we're going to use our magic famous gum Yamato, Arabic Yamato. It's a mucilage type of glue. And we're going to have a peel. We're going to have a peel. Good or bad, I don't know. Yeah, John's mentioning here, and in fact you can perhaps see there are defects on this wood. When I went upstairs yesterday to pick it out of our stock upstairs, this one had been pushed away. Nobody wanted to use it because it's got a big split in it. That doesn't bother me here because the only area we're going to use is the area for these buckets down here. The fact that the wood's defective in that area doesn't bother me. When it comes time for the background color, I need a much neater, cleaner piece of wood. Big wasps. I guess it's one of the constructions. There's 2 or 3 new shops under construction within earshot of us here. Here we go. The junk paper, the paper we don't need just for carrying this thing, that's not going to come off and disappear. Thank you for your service, and away you go. It was just to carry the Gumpi stably. If we had done this just with the Gumpi by itself, Gumpi is so thin and floppy, it would have been difficult to get the Gumpi paper down flat and smooth and clean. So we used a carrier sheet to make sure it was nice and stable. And now comes the peel. Wake up, judges. You guys are funny. It is a very, very thin sheet, extremely thin sheet. I shouldn't have tried to do that on the stream, actually. I'm feeling good. I got away with it there. I actually got away with it. That's super thin. This is the Japanese, sammome. The gobome peels in big fat chunks coming off. The 3, it's really difficult. And I was thinking, oh my God, why am I doing this in public? But it turned out okay. So maybe, I don't know, half the paper or so is gone, came off, I'm not quite sure. So just the front section of the paper is still left on the wood. So again, to reiterate again, the same thing. The registration marks are there, so these lines are now on the piece of wood in exactly the same orientation. The corner marks are here, there's the carving lines. The corner marks are here, there's the carving lines. The information has been transferred from this block, we've transferred it up to this block. And now we're going to cut this block and we're going to leave behind what you see as yellow. I'm going to take away, we're going to cut this boy away, chuck, 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 take him away. This will be a block not for printing boys, this will be a block for printing bucket color. When I first paste the Gampi to carve the key block, it's inverted. Now that's another mistake, well, another misconception. People start drawing stuff for woodblock print and they draw the B's backwards and stuff like that. No. If we want the print to look like this, a right-handed boy with a ladle, if that's the goal, then you draw your picture with a right-handed boy with a ladle. You don't reverse anything. If there was lettering on here, you write the lettering in normal orientation. If there were lettering here, I would write A, B, C. You don't reverse anything when you're preparing your image. At the time you paste it onto the block, look what happens. It goes face down. And when I'm carving that letter B, I would be carving a letter B backwards. When you then print it and transfer it and print it on the finished print, it comes up, the letter B is the correct way around and he's still a right-handed boy. So we do no reversing when we are preparing our images. It happens, the reversal happens as a natural part of the process. Someone says, will you check your email today? Has there been something coming in? I don't hear it because it's Twitch questions. There is nothing in the Twitch question box. My regular email box, I don't even want to go there. I'll be looking at it later, I guess. Stop, please. Is it Tommy time? I'm not sure that's going to happen, you know. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Okay, let's have a go.
Should the outside mic be off? Oh, that droning with that power tool. If I turn down the outside mic, it might help a bit, I don't know. Conversation there. Jokes. Put jokes. I see. Okay, I'll have a go at that at lunchtime. So. Was it a booze delivery? I can't tell. What's he delivering? The truck. Is it the beer delivery to the whale restaurant? Maybe. stream problems. What have I got here? Wi-Fi clear. KBS 4400 kilobits per second. Drop frame 0. Live 1 hour 13 minutes. Green, green, green. We're okay at this end. I'm not using the connectors that I touch this time, so. How's our time? Oh, 9:14. We're done, we're done, we're done. Okay. Okay, show and tell. Well, there is indeed a show and tell. We have 2 things to show today. 2 things to show. Put this away before I break this. I don't know if some of you remember or not. It would be maybe a month ago, more than that, maybe 2 months ago. I showed on the stream a book, a pair of books we had received in an auction here. Taisho era reproductions of Edo era books. And a couple more of those arrived here last night, so we can have a look at those. But before we do, something else came. There's 2 things here this afternoon to show, this morning. We have a couple of books, but before that, we have this. This is, I think I know what's inside, and it will be fun. Oh, Hiroshige stamps, 8 yen times 10. Has Dave shown the kabuki prints yet? No, because I was waiting till they go online in the collection, and Rose-san has started. She started doing the descriptions for the kabuki prints in the collection online. And once they're up and running and they're open in the collection, I will show them here on this desk so that you can click and see online here. Okay, what we have here, it's another piece of, do you remember the name? Chiyogami. It's the kind of paper that people would buy sheets of and then chop up and use for decoupage and stuff like this. They would paste it on the outside of boxes, or they would make paper dolls or stuff like this. And what we have here, this must be from Isetatsu, I think. Yes, it's Isetatsu. Let's have a look. And we have a piece of paper designed to be chopped up and used, used. This is not a woodblock print to be hung on the wall as a decoration. This is from a company called Isetatsu, and it's the type of print called a Chiyogami. And they would just sell them in bulk, sell them in sheets like this. It's a woodblock print. It's actually carved and printed as a woodblock print. But the person who bought it would then get their scissors out and chop, 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 and paste the piece on the paper doll or the little box or whatever it is they were making. We at this point are not going to do that, of course. This is left over from quite a long time ago. There's no date on it. I don't think it's pre-war, no. It's maybe 50s, 60s, somewhere in that era. The paper is really quite a bit aged now. No idea. And there's no artists' names, there's no nothing. They hired designers to splash out designs and chop them up and print them and sell them. And they would have been sold for just like a couple of hundred yen each. Remember, they're not sold as art objects. They were just sold to be cut up and used. And you can still buy this stuff now, although when you go down to the paper supply shops downtown, it's not woodblock printed anymore, because it's of course not cost effective to make this as a woodblock print now. You'd have to sell it for $30, $40, $50, $60, and nobody's going to chop that up. So the stuff you buy nowadays is all offset printed. And there's no designer's name, there's no nothing. It's just an off-the-cuff illustration work. Someone would draw it up, they pay him $10 or whatever, and away it goes. And my guess is it was probably a series of 12, one representing each of the zodiac symbols, but I don't know. No idea. No idea. So there you have that. There you are. Get your scissors out and away we go. Chop it up and put it on your boxes, whatever. We now have a really nice collection of this stuff. This is a really particularly nice one. It's printed well and it's carved well. It's even registered. Because they were low-class prints, some of them, the registration really was really pretty poor. Okay, so much for the appetizer. Now the main course. The main course is this pair of books. Now I don't have my dates exactly ready. This is Taisho era. We'll see a date when we get inside it. It's a reproduction of two books, part 1 and part 2, of a book that was published back in 18 something, 1805, somewhere around there. And this book would have been made in I looked it up. Enough of this asking John Becker to do it. I looked it up. This is made in 1917. So it's funny. This was, the original was 1805 or something, 200 years ago. Then around 100 years ago, they made a reproduction of it. And we now have that book here. So we're looking at 100 years from the original to this, and then another 100 years to get hold of this thing and put it in our collection here. So it's a pair of books made completely in woodblock style. Here we are. And as always in Japanese, when you've got books in a group, it's up, down, which would be pronounced jo-ge. Part 1, part 2. If there were 3, it would be up, middle, down. Jo-chu-ge. This book is just in 2 parts. And the name is Ehon Picture Book Azuma, which is east, and Warawa. I couldn't read this first. I had to go look it up. There's no way I could read this archaic script. I'm just not tossing out my know-how here. I had to go and look this up. And translates as Ehon is picture book. East is the terminology for Tokyo, as opposed to the main capital in Kansai in the west in Kyoto. Whenever they talk about east, it's referred to as Azuma and refers to Tokyo. And Warawa, I don't know. It's an archaic term, and it's referred to things to do with children. So it looks like it's a book of children's customs in Edo. And as I said, the original would have been about 1805 or so. This one, if we skip directly to the back just for a second before we look inside, yeah, we can see it's Taisho 6. And I guess 1917. I think it is 1917. And this is the colophon of the reproduction company, not the original. And this thing, it looks like it's never been opened. I don't want to spoil these covers. Look at this. It's almost never been opened. What am I going to do here? Let's take one book. We need to get in. Woodcut preface, more preface, and here we go. And here we go. I haven't looked at this yet. It's supposed to be something to do with customs related to children in the Edo era, specifically that happened in Tokyo. And I guess the way it's going to go is through a seasonal year. We have Shogatsu, and this is a New Year's scene. And we've got obviously the Tori entrance to a shrine, and I guess it's a family group or whatever. They're making their New Year pilgrimage to the shrine. So as I said, what you're seeing was cut and printed in 1917 in reproduction of a book from 1805. I think it's a family group. It's a family on their way to the shrine for a New Year's visit. I'm not sure what's going on. The father here is saying, let's go, let's get going into the shrine. And the kid is like, no, let's go, something's over here. And what's he looking at? I don't know, let's see. What has the kid seen that is so interesting? Not sure. Other people doing other activities. I guess what are we seeing here? There's people coming up the steps into the shrine area. People leaving. Guy carrying a dispatch box. No idea. All nicely done. Very nicely done. Clean, clear carving. 100 years old. Name. Swords and swords and swords. This isn't an era. This is not swords for fighting, of course. This is swords for decoration and status and showing who you are. No one is about to whip it out, and no one's about to whip it out. Okay, what's next? Oh, it's by month. I see. The next one is marked Ni-Gatsu, second month, February. Well, let's zoom out first to try and get an idea of the image. あ、どうもありがとうございます。あ、お願いします。どうも。Mr. Mailman. What have we got here? It's a party, でしょ? It's a party, February. What's to do with kids here? This is supposed to be children's customs. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like a real house. There's groups all through the house, drinking, playing, somebody coming in the back door. What I don't understand is why they made these prints with such a huge, huge, wide gutter. Many Japanese picture books were made with a narrower gutter, so you got some sense of being able to see the picture on left and right. But why would they make these things? And the whole series is made this way. That tray and this tray match up. Didn't it bother them? Didn't it matter to them? Someone's asking, have we got a mistranslation? It's quite possible. And my ability to read that old Japanese. Hey, we have researchers right here. Look it up. It is Warawa. Ehon Azuma Warawa. And maybe I've got the wrong information here. Have a look. It's clearly through the year. We have again now number 3. It's Sangatsu. This is March. And again, I don't see anything to do with kids. I think that's definitely a mistranslation on my part or in one of the references that I looked at. Or I was referring to the wrong book. Stand by for information coming in. There's no way I can read the text at the top. There's absolutely no way. Not a chance. And a typical normal Japanese person also. This is not any laziness on my part. I read Sangatsu because that's easy. That's 3 and that's month. And some of the rest of it has actually what we call furigana. It's got reading, how to read this, put in beside it. This part is Sumidagawa. So I can pick characters here and there, but I cannot read this with any fluency whatsoever. So is he barfing? I don't think so. I think he's washing his hands. He's got a cloth in his hand. I think he's washing. It looks like a ferry. There are people going across the river. This guy is a salesman. He's got his gear. This guy is carrying his gear across the river, chatting with a person. Everybody else is looking forward. It's a standard ferry that crosses the Sumidagawa. No, I don't think it was drawn in March. I think it means the image is supposed to reflect something in March. It'll be a series of images throughout the year. We have what look to be blossoms in the distance. And of course, we know what to expect here. This is now the 4th month. And what do we have? It looks like we're on a temple or shrine platform, like they have at Kiyomizu-dera down in Kyoto, but this is Tokyo. It looks like some kind of shrine or temple festival. These people are up on the platform, up on the shrine or temple, and we can see down into the courtyard where there's lots and lots of action happening. If it was Ueno Park, we'd have the lake. We would have the lake at the bottom of it, so I don't know. And I don't think Ueno, the Kiyomizu Shrine, I don't think had an entrance like this. The shrine itself overlooks directly the lake, so I don't think it's that one. No, I don't know. It tells us where. It's San something Zan, the name of the temple, and I can't even read. San, I would have guessed Roku, but no. San Dokuzan, San Enzan. I don't know. It's not Kyonism. So I'm curious then, what's the connection with children? I guess I've borked that, sorry. Here we go, the 5th month. Look at this, busy, busy, busy. What's going on here? The pigments here, someone's asking about green and stuff. The pigments here are a real mix. If we had some way to show side by side the Edo era book and then this one, the tree green, whatever. Generically, it would be known as kusairo, grass color green, and it wouldn't be a pigment of that color. This would be mixed with the blue and yellow, and of course black also mixed in. But the Taisho era printers, the guys who made this, had their own concept of coloring, and it was nowhere near the same as what was published in the Edo era. Not at all. If we had the two side by side, actually they'll be out there. If you were interested in comparing, you could compare the two versions. Okay, this is something happening in Meguro, and it's Fudo, another shrine event. We've got a tray here full of little rolled up stuff, and I guess what's happening here, these are fortunes. You know, at Sensoji these days, we go and we buy the fortunes. You put your 100 yen in, you get your rolled piece of paper with your fortune on it. And I think that's what's happening here. These are people on some kind of event day visiting the shrine to do, among other things, to get their fortune. Look at all these faces and all this hair. How'd you like to carve this? Something also worth mentioning, the guy who designed this is Toyo Hiro. And he's not one of the big names in the ukiyo-e world, and he's noted these days for being the guy who trained Hiroshige, who was, I guess, perhaps the biggest or one of the two biggest names in the whole field. Toyohiro was Hiroshige's teacher. It's all shrines and events, you know. I'm gonna, before the next stream, I will look this up, and I've obviously mistranslated. It's not children. It'll be a year of events at shrines and temples in Edo. I mean, that's what we're looking at here. It's nothing to do with children. I have screwed up my my translation here. The carver must have been, oh my God, how many hairs and faces and whatever do you want me to carve here? Okay, that'll do it for now. There's lots more. There's no point just flipping through this. Just the content of what we have. It's a woodblock printed book. Every page you see was carved and printed with the same technology that you've seen us muck around with on this stream. The key block first, then color blocks for every single page of this book. And then it was bound together and sold. And the price, it would have been, I don't have the actual number, but it would have been something like a few tens of dollars. It wouldn't have been a few hundreds of dollars to buy a book like this. It would have been a few tens of dollars. I'm really ballparking. In our current money, if we went to a bookstore to buy this, it would have been like $20 or something like that. And the amount of labor that goes into it was astonishing, absolutely astonishing. Actually, the first volume, we were pretty much at the end of it. We went 4, 5, 6. We looked at the 6 months, and then after that, it's text, explanatory text. I don't think it would be a novel. It would be a description of the kind of things we saw. So that's the first 6 months, and you know what we would see in volume 2. It was on auction last week for 8,000 yen. Nobody else wanted it. I waited till the last second and then bid for it. So, would a book like this be made by one person? No. A publisher would create the concept. He would have a designer or a designer's school, a designer's group, send in the images. They would be sorted out, traced, prepared, and it would go to a carver or carver's workshop with a bunch of people to do the block set, and then again over to a printer's workshop to do the printing. the publisher, he would then have people who would sew it all together, and in their shop it goes for sale and also for rent. Books like this were rented out. There were no specific libraries in those days. People would buy books or rent them from itinerant booksellers in their community. Okay, I will do some research and find out exactly what I'm misunderstanding about children here, because it really doesn't look like children. Okay, whatever, we'll find it. The second book here, well, should we save it for later or just flip through it now? I don't know. Let's save it for later when I've learned what the theme is. It's the same idea. It'll be the last 6 months of the year plus another group. I've got to get to work. In the meantime, I've got to get out of work. I've got to finish these turtles and get these off to Jedsan, because people are waiting for these now. Okay, thanks guys. I got to get out of here. Next up is 2 days from now, Monday morning. And other than that, thanks for joining in. Thanks for this. About the moderation thing, maybe I'll drop an email to some of the regular people here, maybe, and if I figure out how to give them magic mod powers, then maybe some of the regulars can give a hand with this. If it's going to be a problem over the coming months as the stream grows too much, then maybe some of you guys out there who are regulars can help me by clicking people if it's necessary to do that. Anyway, I'll be here again Monday morning. Thanks very much, and we'll see you there. Not sure what the work is going to be. We'll think about it at that time. Bye for now, guys. Thank you.